In the near future, Earth has become a utopia with a pristine environment and no violence, but this perfection comes at a cost. Aliens known as souls have taken over humanity, acting as parasites that travel from planet to planet, inserting themselves into the bodies of the dominant species and erasing the host's consciousness. Although the souls can access the host's memories, they can be distinguished from normal humans by the silver rings in their eyes. Despite the widespread control of the souls, a few humans remain unassimilated, living in hiding to survive. One of these rebels is Melanie, who is trying to evade capture in a hotel. Unfortunately, she is discovered by a group of soul enforcers known as Seekers. Melanie manages to fight off a few of them and makes a desperate leap from a window, sustaining severe injuries upon impact with the ground. The Seekers capture her and take her to a medical facility where her wounds are instantly healed with advanced alien technology. They then insert a soul parasite into her body. When she regains consciousness, her eyes now bear the telltale silver rings, and the soul within her introduces herself as Wanderer. However, Wanderer soon discovers that Melanie's consciousness has not been fully suppressed. Melanie's voice remains in her head, resisting Wanderer's control. Later, Seeker Blondie summons Wanderer and instructs her to access Melanie's memories to locate the hidden rebel humans. As Wanderer delves into Melanie's past, she recounts a day when Melanie was swimming with her younger brother Jamie, and the Seekers arrived. The siblings hid under a pier while their father tragically took his own life to avoid being overtaken by a soul. Although Melanie tries to prevent Wanderer from revealing more, she is too weak to stop her. That night, Wanderer dreams of Melanie's memories, recalling when Melanie raided a house for food and was attacked by a man named Jared, who mistook her for a soul. Once Jared realized she was human, he kissed her in relief, but Melanie pushed him away and fled. Jared pursued her and, after proving he was also human, proposed they join forces. When Wanderer wakes up, she is haunted by the sensation of the kiss and begins to sketch a portrait of Jared, though Melanie forces her to stop. The next day, Seeker Blondie finds the drawing and reprimands Wanderer before demanding more information. Wanderer reveals that Melanie, Jamie, and Jared began living together in the countryside, where Melanie and Jared grew close and eventually became a couple. The emotions of love and connection confuse Wanderer, prompting Blondie to remind her that such physical urges are considered inappropriate by the souls. Wanderer continues the flashback, explaining how Jared spotted Seekers approaching one day, forcing them to flee in hopes of finding other rebels. They sought refuge in a hotel, where Melanie acted as a distraction to allow the others to escape. Wanderer insists she can't access any more memories, and Blondie leaves, but a landscape sticks in Wanderer's mind, which she quickly sketches. Melanie convinces her to destroy the drawing to protect her loved ones. Over the next few days, Blondie continues interrogating Wanderer, but Wanderer, having experienced Melanie's love, refuses to reveal anything more, now determined to protect what Melanie holds dear. One afternoon, Blondie informs Wanderer that Jared has been sighted and the Seekers are closing in on him. Panicking, Wanderer tries to harm Blondie but is easily subdued and sedated. Later, at the facility, Blondie and a doctor discuss transferring Wanderer to a more compliant host since Melanie's resistance is too strong. Blondie plans to take over Melanie's body herself, intending to access the memories and then discard the body. Left alone for the night, Wanderer is persuaded by Melanie to escape. Melanie instructs her on how to jam the door with a chair and jump off the balcony, landing safely in a pool below. A Seeker attempts to stop Wanderer, but Melanie guides her to use the alien spray to sedate him. When Melanie suggests stealing a car, Wanderer instead asks a driver for it, claiming it's an emergency. The driver hands it over without question, as souls don't typically commit crimes and trust each other implicitly. Meanwhile, Blondie and the doctor struggle to break into Wanderer's room, but by the time they succeed, it's too late. They search the room and find the torn pieces of the landscape drawing in Wanderer's clothes. During the drive, Melanie continues sharing memories of her relationship with Jamie, subtly guiding Wanderer toward the rebel base. When Wanderer realizes what is happening, she and Melanie begin to fight over control of the car, causing it to veer off the road and crash. With no other choice, Wanderer allows Melanie to lead her through the desert, carefully stepping on rocks to avoid leaving tracks. Back at the Seeker facility, Blondie reassembles the drawing and identifies the location on a digital map. She immediately sets out in a high-tech vehicle, reaching the crash site but finding no tracks to follow. She calls for backup and orders a search of the area. Meanwhile, Wanderer continues trekking through the desert with only a small bottle of water from the car. Eventually, she succumbs to sunburn and exhaustion, collapsing under a tree. She is found by Jeb, the leader of the rebels, who gives her water. Wanderer, confused and weak, mutters, "You found us," which catches Jeb's attention. Soon after, other rebels arrive, but they are hostile. Maggie slaps Wanderer, and Ian and Kyle want to unlive her for being a parasite. However, Jeb holds them back with his weapon and decides to blindfold Wanderer, leading her to their hideout. The group leads Wanderer through a hidden passage into a secret cave complex nestled within the mountains, where the rebels have been hiding for years. Upon entering, Melanie's loved ones are there, but their reunion is anything but warm. Jared, seeing her as a traitor, immediately strikes her. Maggie coldly suggests that Melanie should be dealt with by their doctor, as they do with all other captured parasites, but Jamie, shocked and heartbroken, disagrees. Wanderer is given a room to stay in, but Jamie, unable to stay away, spies on her through a small hole in the roof. Melanie warns Wanderer not to reveal that she can still communicate because the others would think she's lying or manipulating them. Jared takes it upon himself to guard the room, knowing that the other rebels will likely try to unlive her. His fears are justified when Kyle and some others arrive, intent on finishing Wanderer off. Jared engages in a brutal fight with Kyle, and despite Wanderer's pleas for them to stop, they continue to brawl. In the midst of the chaos, Ian seizes the opportunity to grab Wanderer and begins choking her, but before he can do any real damage, Jeb arrives and fires a warning shot, bringing the fight to an abrupt halt. Jeb sternly declares that the corridor to Wanderer's room is now off limits, and anyone who tries to enter will be shot. Before leaving, Jared asks Jeb to keep Jamie away from Wanderer, fearing for his brother's safety. Sometime later, Ian, Jared, and Kyle notice that Seekers are searching the area. The main group eventually gives up due to the lack of evidence, but Seeker Blondie, stubborn and determined, refuses to leave with the others. Meanwhile, Wanderer finally catches Jamie spying on her and gently explains that she has taken over Melanie's body. Jeb, who has been secretly listening in, hears their conversation. When the others return, Jared angrily reminds Jamie to stay away from Wanderer, insisting she's dangerous. However, Ian begins to doubt this because souls are not known to defend others so fiercely. Out in the desert, Blondie receives a call informing her that the search team is heading back because there have been reports of humans detected nearby. The next morning, Jeb, trying to ease the tension, gives Wanderer a nickname, Wanda, and takes her to an underground river where she can wash up. He then shows her their wheat plantation, which they've managed to keep alive using mirrors and a hole in the cave roof to redirect sunlight. However, their peace is soon disturbed when they hear helicopters searching the area. Jeb orders everyone to close the mirrors to avoid detection, managing to eliminate the reflections just in time. After the helicopters leave, Jeb hands his weapon to Jamie so he can feel safe while spending time with Wanderer, though he secretly keeps the bullets. Jamie takes Wanderer to a cave filled with glowing worms, and Melanie, feeling it's the right moment, convinces Wanderer to share the truth. Wanda reveals to Jamie that Melanie is still alive inside her, and Jamie, relieved, hugs her tightly. Meanwhile, a group of rebels sets out in trucks to scavenge for supplies. They raid a supermarket, but as they load the trucks, a Seeker spots them. Jared quickly knocks the Seeker out and hides him in the truck before they drive away. The next morning, Wanderer is invited to help harvest the wheat. As she works, she exchanges flirty glances with Ian. Maggie, still distrusting, refuses to give Wanderer water, so Ian shares his with her. Despite Melanie's reminders that Ian once tried to unlive her, Wanderer enjoys the attention. Suddenly, the sound of helicopters returning startles Jamie, causing him to accidentally injure himself with a scythe. The group quickly rushes to close the mirrors again to avoid being seen. The helicopters, flying overhead, spot one of the trucks on the road, speeding beyond the allowed limit. The rebels in the truck open fire, scaring the choppers away, but soon they are pursued by Seeker vehicles. Surrounded with no escape, the rebels decide to crash the truck rather than be captured. Jared and Kyle, watching from the other truck, are devastated to see their friends die but must continue the mission, pretending to be souls. Blondie, noticing their hesitation, grows suspicious and alerts her team. Soon, a Seeker car begins chasing them, and Kyle returns fire to no effect. Jared stops the truck under a bridge, causing the Seeker car to crash into it. As they attempt to kidnap the Seeker driver, Blondie arrives and opens fire on them. They narrowly escape, but Blondie accidentally kills the Seeker driver instead, leading the other Seekers to criticize her for losing control and pursuing a pointless chase. Back in the caves, Wanderer begins to share stories about her people. She explains that her kind has taken over 12 planets with intelligent life, insisting they've always lived harmoniously with other species. She also reveals that she's over 1,000 years old. When Jared and Carl return, they are furious to see Wanderer sitting at the table like an equal. Jeb intervenes, preventing them from shooting her, while Ian argues that she isn't a threat. Jamie, unable to keep it a secret any longer, finally reveals that Melanie is still alive inside her. Despite this, Jared remains skeptical and storms off. Ian suggests that Wanderer stay in her room for safety. That night, Jared, haunted by memories of his intimate moments with Melanie, decides to talk to her, though he continues to refer to Melanie as it. Ian, sensing Jared's need for closure, gives them a moment alone. Jared kisses Wanderer, causing Melanie to panic and make Wanderer push him away, just like their first encounter. Jared, excited by this response, takes it as proof that Melanie is still there and tells her he loves her. Terrified by her encounter with Jared, Wanderer flees to the river, seeking refuge from her conflicting emotions. As she hides near the water, Carl arrives, searching for her. Fearing for her life, she submerges herself underwater to avoid detection. After waiting for what feels like an eternity, she attempts to escape through another tunnel, but Carl is already there, lying in wait. He immediately attacks her, and they engage in a fierce struggle. At the height of the confrontation, Carl tries to push her into the waterfall, but with a burst of adrenaline, Wanderer manages to land a punch, causing him to lose his balance and fall into the water below. Melanie, filled with anger, urges Wanderer to let him drown, but Wanderer can't bring herself to do it. Instead, she grabs Carl's hand, keeping him from being swept away by the current. Soon, Ian and Jared arrive and help pull Carl out of the water, saving his life. The group's doctor checks on both of them, and Jeb demands an explanation. Wanderer, covering for Carl, claims it was an accident. Ian is skeptical, but with no proof of an harm, Carl is allowed to stay. Jared, still wary, warns Ian to keep his distance from Wanderer and leaves with Carl on another supply run. Later, Ian takes Wanderer out of the cave to enjoy the sunlight, and during this time, he confesses his feelings for her. Wanderer admits she feels something for him too, but when Ian leans in for a kiss, Melanie protests, causing Wanderer to pull back. Despite this, Ian kisses her anyway, leaving Wanderer conflicted and asking for time to think. Meanwhile, at the Seeker facility, Blondie is becoming increasingly unhinged. As she watches surveillance footage of the area, she notices her hand trembling uncontrollably. She refuses to admit she's losing control, even as she begins to hear a voice in her head, hinting at a deeper internal struggle. Back in the cave, Wanderer realizes that Jamie's wound has not been properly cared for and rushes to confront the doctor. To her horror, she discovers that the kidnapped Seekers are brought to the cave so the doctor can remove the parasites, an operation that inevitably kills them. Distraught, Wanderer accuses the group of being monsters and retreats to her room, where she cries over the revelation. Days pass, and Wanderer isolates herself, refusing to eat or leave her room. Eventually, Jeb visits her and points out that she can't expect humanity to surrender easily. He promises not to bring any more hostages if she agrees to stay, but he also informs her that Jamie's condition has worsened due to an infection. Concerned, Wanderer rushes to check on Jamie, desperately trying to reach Melanie, but her voice has gone silent. She lies to Jamie, assuring him that Melanie is fine, but the situation leaves her feeling more isolated than ever. Desperate for answers, Wanderer seeks out Ian and asks him to kiss her again, hoping it will confirm whether Melanie is truly gone. When Melanie fails to react, Wanderer fears the worst. However, Ian refuses to believe that Melanie is lost and convinces Jared to kiss Wanderer instead. This time, Melanie reacts strongly, making Wanderer bite Jared to stop the kiss. With this proof that Melanie is still present, they decide to take action to save Jamie. Wanderer persuades Jared to take her to the city, where they plan to use the advanced medical technology to heal Jamie. Posing as a wounded soul, Wanderer uses Jared's knife to inflict superficial injuries on herself, securing an appointment with a doctor. The alien spray quickly heals her wounds, and while the doctor is distracted, Wanderer steals several bottles of the spray, along with a soul capsule she finds nearby. As they leave, a mysterious figure on a motorcycle prepares to follow them. Returning to the caves, Wanderer uses the stolen spray to heal Jamie, who recovers almost instantly. The group, now more trusting of Wanderer, invites her to join them on their next supply run, knowing her soul eyes will allow her to obtain food legally without suspicion. When they return to the cave, they are shocked to find the guard dead on the ground. At that moment, Blondie emerges from the shadows. She was the figure on the motorcycle. Just as she prepares to fire a weapon, Jeb appears and takes her down first. Blondie is brought into the cave and healed with the spray, leaving her disoriented and confused. Wanderer questions her and realizes that the other Seekers are unaware of Blondie's location, meaning they should be safe for now. After much contemplation, Wanderer proposes a deal to the Doctor. She will teach him how to safely remove the parasites without killing them, if he promises to stop the murders. The Doctor agrees. Blondie is sedated, and the Doctor makes an incision, allowing Wanderer to carefully guide the removal of the alien parasite by coaxing it out. The small creature is placed inside the stolen capsule, and Blondie awakens, now fully human again. She reveals her original name is Lacey and explains that, like Melanie, she was trapped inside her own mind, helplessly watching as the soul controlled her actions. This torment drove her to chase Wanderer, desperate to prevent others from suffering the same fate. A few hours later, the group heads to the city, where Wanderer uses the laser system through which the soul capsules arrive on Earth to send the Blondie parasite back into space. Upon returning to the caves, Wanderer makes a difficult decision. She asks the Doctor to remove her from Melanie's body and let her die. The group, now seeing her as one of their own, pleads with her not to go through with it, but Wanderer insists. Ian, heartbroken, follows Wanderer and confesses his love for her. As a final goodbye, Wanderer kisses him before submitting to the procedure. Sometime later, Wanderer awakens in a new body and is stunned to see Melanie standing before her. The group explains that they transferred her consciousness into the body of a girl who had suffered brain death, allowing her to live without taking another life. Now, Wanderer, given the new name Wanda, can start fresh with Ian, while Melanie is reunited with Jared. Months later, the two couples are out in the city when they are stopped by a Seeker. He quickly removes their sunglasses to check for human eyes and notices Wanda's alien gaze. He asks if she is a prisoner, and though the others urge her to lie, Wanda declares that she is friends with the humans. The Seeker smiles, revealing that he is part of a group working with humans and has been searching for other survivors. They invite the couples to join forces. And that's a wrap of this movie review. Share your thought about the movie in the comment section. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support this channel. Thank you for watching.